Drywall is well underway on our project. And one of the nice things about our general contractor is that many of his craftsmen have multiple skills. Alfonso and Miguel here were stuccoing on the outside earlier. Now they're going to hang some drywall, and they even do plaster.
And then we'll take a tour of one of the first California modern homes, which is right in our neighborhood.
And my favorite part of this house is this enormous 10-foot window.
Well, back here in Silver Lake, work continues on our Spanish colonial revival. Now, some of the signatures of this style are the red tiles on the roof. And you see a lot of Moorish influence, like these arches at the window, and they're all over the house, and we'll see more of those today. And one thing you're certainly going to see a lot of is stucco, and we're working on that right now. Part of our renovation was to increase the living space, so we expanded the footprint on the left side and added a whole second floor. All of that is new work, and it all needs to be stuccoed. Alfonso, quite an operation here.
That's right, Norm. We got the scratch going on, we got this wall done, and we start with this one.
Okay.
And basically what we try to recreate on this house is this sandy look, which is the original finish of the house.
Right, so you want the same texture.
Correct. And basically what the inspector wants to see is this, the overlap on the paper and the overlap on the wire.
Okay, so the paper has to overlap the paper from down below, and the wire just has to overlap itself.
Correct.
And what are your fasteners?
They're nails, and we caulk for precaution, because every single hole in this paper is a potential leakage.
That's true. So the wire is nice and firm to the building, so you're ready for the mud, and I noticed you start at the top.
Correct. Scratch coatings on top.
So what's the recipe for your mix?
The mix consists in 3 parts sand, 1 part cement.
Okay, and how about the consistency? How important is that?
It's very important because basically we don't want a mud to be too soft, because otherwise it's going to slipper between the wire, or too hard. It's going to be too much work for the worker, basically.
Now this wire is designed so that it's held proud of the house, so the stucco can get behind it.
Right, so we can key into it. Norm, if you notice on the corners, we have a different type of wire.
So it's like a corner bead for plaster, except it's made for stucco.
Correct. We call that corner 8.
Corner 8, okay.
Now that we have the mud on the wall, it's time for a scratch.
Looks like you have a special trowel there that's notched.
Correct. And that gave us a nice bonding surface for our next coat, which is the brown coat. Over here on this side of the house, we got the scratch coat dry up for 72 hours. So we're ready to do brown coat.
Same recipe on the mud?
3 for 1.
3 for 1 would be 3 sand, 1 cement.
Correct.
And how thick do you lay it on?
It's about 3/8.
Okay, so now he's wetting a screed.
Yeah, he's going to pass the screed.
So that gives you a nice, flat, straight surface.
Correct.
All right, well, so far we have the scratch coat and we have the brown coat.
And we still have 2 more coats to go, which is the base coat and the finish coat.
All right, you guys make it look simple.
Thank you, man.
A common detail on the Spanish colonial revival are arches, and a lot of them. On the outside, we have these nice curved arches on the sides as well as the front. And as soon as you come through the front door, there are more. A slightly different shape, more of a Moorish influence. There's one right here. This is an original. Another original one right here. And they even took the time to make the glass and the framing around the front window to be in the same shape. And there's a really large one at this end of the room, which leads into the dining room. Now, the homeowners really love that detail, so they're adding new ones throughout the house. There's one right here leading into the family room, one leading into the kitchen, and another large one leading out of the kitchen. And if that isn't enough, there's 3 more in the master bathroom.
Norm, over here off of the master bedroom, we have the master bath. And as you'll see, we already have the 3 arches. We have the tub area, shower, and the toilet area.
It looks like you're well underway.
Yes, we are, but these are just mock-ups. The homeowner tried to keep the concept of the original ones, but he wanted the little tighter arch right here. See where this pencil line is going here.
All right, so they signed off on that, and now we're ready to make the framed arch.
This is the one we're gonna go make. Let me get it down and we'll go make this one. Now I'm gonna use this mock-up here as a template, but I've gotta cut out this pencil line so we can get the correct curve here. Now I'm going to trace this pattern right onto this 1/2-inch piece of plywood we have here.
And I'll just cut it out using the jigsaw. Now all we have to do is trim the ends of our second piece, and we'll have a perfect match to our template. Now we have 2 1/2-inch pieces of plywood that match to make the sides of our arch. Now between the 2 pieces of plywood, we're going to sandwich this piece of 2x, which is ripped to 2.5 inches, 1 long piece across the top, and a series of blocks along the bottom that are also 2.5 inches long.
Now let's just get this thing nailed together.
All right.
Let's see how it looks in here.
All right. See if we can sneak it up in there.
Let me get this side up in.
There you go. All right, perfect fit. Now once the other 2 arches are installed, drywalled and plastered, and we get that period reproduction tile in place, this bathroom is going to be spectacular.
It's going to be beautiful.
The Silver Lake neighborhood is well known for its Spanish-style houses, but they're equally well known for their modern style, as Kevin recently found out on the other side of the lake.
California has a lot of different architectural styles, but many people would consider its most prominent the modern style, or as some people like to call it, California modern. Think of those big boxy houses up in the hills with their cantilevered roofs, their walls of glass, and the sleek materials. Well, folks would argue that the father of that style was a gentleman named Richard Neutra. He designed over 250 homes right here in state, including this one, which was his personal residence. And we're lucky that it happens to be right here in our neighborhood of Silver Lake. And it is the only Richard Neutra house that is still in the public hands. And today it is in the good hands of its curator. Sarah, very nice to meet you.
Hi, Kevin. How are you?
I'm very well. So tell us about Neutra. Who was he, and why is this house so significant?
Well, Richard Neutra was an Austrian architect who came to the U.S. in the early 20s, and then he built this house in 1932. It was an incredibly significant house because there was nothing else like it in the neighborhood. He had come to the U.S. because he was really interested in working with Frank Lloyd Wright, and he ended up in California with another architect named R.M. Schindler.
Right.
And this was his 3rd house.
And what would you consider to be some of the significant elements of this style?
Well, most importantly is the lack of ornamentation, so there's very smooth, clean finishes. And then he was very interested in these very deep overhangs to shield the glass. And obviously, as in all California modernists, a lot of use of glass in order to create a greater relationship between inside and outside, which is really what California modernism is all about.
Right. Well, we're outside now. What do you say we make that connection to the inside?
Okay. All right, coming in, Kevin.
Thank you.
So this space that we're standing in, this was actually Richard Neutra's office.
So not just his home, huh?
No, this house had all sorts of uses. He actually had apartments here for his workers. He had 7 to 8 draftspeople working in this very small room, and then his family lived upstairs.
Wow, sounds like it would have been a busy place. Look at this staircase.
So what do you think?
I think that's very nice. Look at it. It looks like it's just floating there, or actually sort of hanging off of these metal rods.
Yeah, so the idea is that it really disappears, that it's this very, very light element that you can see through, because you want to be able to look past into this outdoor space.
We've got a wall of glass just on the other side of it, so now there's that connection you're talking about. Look at this, right down to a corner of glass right there.
So this space out here is really thought of, it was designed to be an outdoor room.
So not a courtyard, literally a room.
Right, so it's actually proportioned as you would proportion a room. And it's got walls on 3 sides, and then it's got this Chinese elm tree as a roof. And then these sliding doors, these enormous sliding doors of the main house would actually open all the way to here and extend the living space of this garden house into the courtyard.
These are enormous, nearly 7 feet wide it looks like. So you really are making that connection between inside and out. It does feel like a room with the canopy on top of it, and it really draws your eye up to the different levels of the house, which I think I want to get back, well, and now inside again, because you've taken me outside.
Yeah, so let's go upstairs. Okay, so Kevin, this is where the Neutra family lived. And this area was their breakfast nook, which was just off the kitchen. And my favorite part of this house is this enormous 10-foot window, which opens up and creates this great cross ventilation for the entire house.
Enormous is the word. Look at the size of that screen. And I can immediately feel that cross breeze coming through the house. Well, that's terrific.
Exactly, so let's look at the living room and the dining room.
So a combination living room and dining room, both things going on in here?
That's right.
Oh, looks like you got your own little renovation project underway. What's the story with this?
Well, we're currently undergoing restoration of the house. There's a lot of water damage in the house. Our university, Cal Poly Pomona, uses this house as a laboratory for the architecture and landscape architecture students.
So are you constantly fundraising, trying to keep up with the improvements?
Exactly, writing grants, doing tours on the weekends, and asking for donations.
Sure, all right. And look at all of these windows and the size of them. I mean, this is massive.
Yeah, so that's what Richard Neutra is known for, this expansive use of glass to connect us to the outdoors.
And yet over here, that expansiveness shrinks down. We've got a high wall, small windows.
Exactly, they frame the St. Gabriel Mountains, and then the wall hides the neighboring rooftops.
So it forces you to take advantage of the beautiful views.
Exactly.
Terrific, all right. And then another outdoor space. It's almost as if every interior room has got a corresponding outdoor room. You just can't get away from it.
Right, so yeah, every room, like you say, has an outdoor space associated with it. So let's go upstairs.
Sarah, how significant is Neutra?
Well, locally, he's very significant. We actually have a street named after him, Neutra Place, and it's got 10 great examples of his work. And then internationally, he's so well known, people come on pilgrimages just to see this house.
And to see what, its forms, its shapes, its materials, things that we probably today take for granted as being, well, this is just modern architecture.
Right, but it's actually very unique to this area, and a lot of it started here with this house and Richard Neutra.
Terrific. Well, we really appreciate what you're doing to preserve the house and for showing us around. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
When we started our project here on this house, it had little or no insulation. But with the renovation, that's going to change. The building code requires that we encapsulate the entire living space. Now down here in the basement, there is no living space, so we don't have to insulate the walls, but we do have to insulate the ceiling because we want to keep the conditioned air above where it belongs, up in that living space. Our insulation contractor is Pat McKinley, and you guys are almost wrapped up down here.
We sure are.
So what are these batts all about? What are they made out of?
Well, let me show you. What we've normally seen in fiberglass before is a formaldehyde binder. What we have here is a plant-based binder. Post-consumer recycled glass, corn, and sand.
Okay, so it's friendly to work with, and
Absolutely.
it's not going to outgas.
Absolutely.
Now, I don't see a vapor barrier here. Is that going to be a problem?
Absolutely not. We're in an area where there's not a great enough difference between hot and cold for cold air to migrate and cause condensation.
Okay.
The guys don't want to compress the insulation. You're looking for full R value. When you compress insulation, you lose R value.
Now, they will run into cases where they have to cut around things like an electrical box or a light fixture.
Correct, Norm. You want to make sure that you are trimming around light boxes, you have the full thickness of the insulation so it'll reach its potential R value.
Now, this insulation is totally exposed. Is it fire rated?
Yes, it is.
And I see the guys are just using some metal rods to hold it in place.
Correct, support rods. You want to make sure when you're done with the job, it absolutely stays in place.
So, Pat, do you get a lot of call for this type of insulation?
We do. This is the only insulation we're using. Homeowners are savvy. They're starting to research the products going in their home. This is heavy recycled content, no chemicals.
All right, does it cost more than standard batts?
It does not.
That's the same.
It's the same cost.
That's good news. And you know what? This is going to make our house a lot more energy efficient.
Absolutely.
The general contractor is not only building our house, but they are designing it as well. And helping the homeowners with a lot of those design decisions is Shelby Roberts. Shelby, good to see you again.
See you too.
So tile was a big decision point for Kurt and Mary. Is this where you brought them?
This is where we brought them. This is probably the best resource we've got for getting the kind of tile that we need for this house.
So what kind of tile do we need for this house?
Well, in the 20s and 30s in the Los Angeles area, there were a lot of small tile makers, and they made very interesting, unique tiles. This is a reproduction of a Malibu style, and the guys that have this store make this tile themselves, so they reproduce an old form
It's
in
beautiful.
the same way that they would have in the 20s and 30s.
So custom made right here, and then it's offset by this beautiful field of the terracotta.
And the terracotta they make as well, which is a much harder terracotta than is generally available today. So we like it also because you can put it on a deck and you don't even have to seal it.
So you brought us to the right place. They not only make it, but they've got a great selection. And wow, look at the walls of color. It's so bright and vibrant. I mean, this is beautiful. And is this something that would be typically found in a house of our era, 1930s, Southern California?
Absolutely. Every house of that kind of Spanish style would have had a bathroom like this in it, and in fact ours did have a yellow and green bathroom.
And I'm seeing some of the tiles that we just saw on the floor. This is what I would expect to see in Southern California, maybe a Mexican or a Spanish influence.
Very strong Spanish and kind of Andalusian and Moorish influence on it.
A little mix and mash, all right. And we do have to pick tiles for our house, right?
And over here we've got some tiles pre-selected, some colors and patterns.
Great.
Kevin, this is Tisa. Tisa is
Hi,
the owner
Kevin.
here and also the head designer.
Tisa, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
You helped us with our bathrooms, right?
We absolutely did.
So you're familiar with what was there. We've got a picture of it. Big, bold colors, greens and yellows. This had to go because we need to make room for a new bedroom, and also it's where we put the structure for the second floor. So it's gone, but not forgotten, right?
No, not at all. And this is typical of what you'd see in the 20s, and we've replicated it with our Revival line.
All right, so where are we using some of the influence from the old bathroom in the new bathrooms?
Taking the color, the marigold color, which is a hand-sprayed tile, mixing it with a commercial tile to keep the cost down.
So commercial in the black and custom in the marigold.
Exactly.
And this is going to be which bathroom?
Powder room.
Powder room downstairs. Okay,
Powder
so
room.
big, bold colors there. Nice. We've got a second bathroom set up. Is this the kids' bathroom?
Kids' bathroom, once again, we're using a commercial tile for the bulk of the field tile to keep the cost down.
So the whites are the commercial, and obviously this is custom, right? This has got your guys' handiwork all over.
Yeah, this is a little 20s liner, and you can custom the colors, and there you go.
Beautiful. I love that
Done.
little accent right there.
And a fancy floor with some colors, easygoing walls, and replicated your 1920s bathroom.
Master's palette over here, the master bathroom?
Absolutely, and this is a typical pattern. It's almost like a soccer ball with a 4-inch hex.
Big hexes, right.
Yeah.
We're used to seeing the smaller ones, and this is the wall detail here.
Yeah, this came from a client's house.
So you guys found it in an old house, and now you make it.
Now
That's
we do.
terrific. Well, it looks beautiful laid out here on the table.
It looks even better installed. Would you like to see a bathroom?
If you got one, I'd love to see it.
This is the color palette for our master bathroom.
Beautiful.
This pattern is the soccer ball pattern that you have in both the master bathroom and the kids' bathroom.
I like the floor, and I like the wall. We've got a black heavy tile down here, a field of green, and then that custom liner right here. I mean, this is a vintage bathroom.
It is, and this is what we want for our house. We want to make sure that we have these details in place to really give it that 1933 feeling.
Oh, it's gonna look great.
Drywall is well underway on our project, And one of the nice things about our general contractor is that many of his craftsmen have multiple skills. Alfonso and Miguel here were stuccoing on the outside earlier. Now they're going to hang some drywall, and they even do plaster. So we're going to cover up this wall. We have to go around this arch, and you have some electrical boxes here. This one is for switches, and this one is for a sconce. So how are you going to locate those?
We're going to transfer the center of the sconce up to the ceiling.
Okay, so you put a measurement up there. It's 28 inches from the ceiling to the center of the sconce.
Correct.
Okay, and how do you get started with the board?
We're going to start with the top sheet, which goes all the way up to the top.
Now we have a measurement of 28 inches up on the ceiling, so if we come down 28, we should be right in the center of that sconce.
Correct.
And now you just cut it out.
Correct.
And the second sconce.
Now I'm just going to cut the HVAC register.
Now we'll cut off some of the excess from the back side. All right, now we're ready to cut out the arch. Wow, that looks fantastic. And we have another arch.
Correct.
So just a few more sheets of drywall to hang.
And we'll be ready for plaster.
Right, and we'll be showing you that next time. So until then, I'm Norm Abram.
And I'm Alfonso Garcia.
For This Old House.
Esta casa vieja.
You guys are great.
Thank you.